Hello and welcome everyone to the Literally Me podcast. This is episode 6. My name is Dino and I'm joined by my wonderful, amazing friend Tristan. Tristan, how are you, man?
I'm good, man. Good to be back again on the pod, episode 6. I'm having a real good time doing these, I don't know about you.
These are a lot of fun. Like I said last time, like they're the highlight of my week. I love talking about movies with my favorite movie friends. So it's great. I love it. It's a lot of fun.
Likewise. Likewise. And again, I'm always happy when you pick a movie because it's always
Mhm.
something where I'm always into something completely different. Then I'm like, oh man, yeah, he's got to bring me down with something real good,
Mhm.
real like
And this week was a
sometimes
very good
sometimes
one.
depressing too. It's just like, damn, Dino's really just gut punching me here.
Mhm. It was a very depressing movie. So just for everyone, this week's movie is Inside Llewyn Davis. It's from the Coen brothers, and we're going to talk about that one a little bit later.
hmm
But before we get into it, what have you been up to this week? Maybe you want to talk about the rebrand you did.
Yeah. So
Tell us a little bit about that because you did some
yeah,
cooking.
I've been in the lab, so to speak.
Mhm.
Um, for anyone who's listening or keeping up, I run a production company, a film production company, where we do music videos and everything, but we shoot everything all on film. And on Dino's page, we had done a little interview, which kind of sparked the idea in me a little bit to consider the rebrand, so I could distance myself from Dino clearly. I'm just kidding. Because he asked me, he's like, "What about the name?" It was Mandalay Social Club, and I said, nothing. I mean, Mandalay's personal, but the Social Club was nothing beyond it being cool. And I thought about it afterwards. I'm like, we should probably include something about what we do in there because I think most people hear a social club and people ask me if I run like a bar or something. Um, so we changed it to Mandalay Film Club. So we've been in the lab and just really focusing on film. And if anyone wants to come, check it out and follow along, join the club, so to speak, you can give us a follow on IG at Mandalay Film Club. And Dino is one of our staunchest supporters for years now. And he was one of the few people who I went to prior with the rebrand to ask, like, hey, what do you think about this?
I had the scoop, the
He had the
inside
scoop.
news.
That's right. But
But the
yeah, so
bar sounds awesome. Maybe you should reconsider the bar,
that's what I'm
Mandel
thinking.
Social Club bar.
That's what I'm thinking. We can have a movie theater slash bar, maybe call it that.
That'd
And
be
I think
awesome.
I think that'd be cool. But beyond all that, I still was able to squeeze in a few movies in the last week.
What did you
Um,
watch? Let us
I,
know.
yeah, man, I watched some. I think last time we talked, we had seen we were talking about Hard Target, and I think I had mentioned the movie Seconds. Did I mention that one last week?
You did. The
Yeah,
one
okay.
you recommended to a friend.
Yes, and we all watched it,
Mhm.
and like 1 out of 3 liked it. Well, I ended up watching it 2 more times again, before the
Nice.
rental period ran out. I was just like, "Man, this movie rules." I forgot. So everyone, again, just a big recommend to check out Seconds, uh, by John Frankenheimer. That movie's awesome. But, Dino, I know in Germany, I think we talked about it, that they don't have Criterion Channel, where you are currently?
It's not available. So the website is up, but if you try to subscribe to it, it says it's not available in your region right now, but
Interesting.
they'll let me know when it's available. I filled out a little email thing and they'll let me know. But as of right now, it's not available, unfortunately.
Do you know if it's available in other parts of Europe, or is it just a Germany thing? Is it just that region of Europe, or
I'm actually not sure if it's available in like the UK or something. I need to
yeah,
ask a couple of friends if they can
yeah.
access it, but
I
I
feel like
don't
it
think
has to be. I feel
it
like it
should be,
has to
right?
be.
It should
Yeah.
be, but maybe it's not available in Europe at all.
I guess it could be tricky with rights and whatnot. That's probably
Yeah.
why. But either way, and if you follow Criterion, I'm sure you see that they post like every month they have um new they put together a bunch of movies that they put out every month. So like they have like a David Lynch one where they have a bunch of programs of David Lynch movies, a program of a bunch of Western, like whatever it may be, very specific or by a specific actor or production company or whatever. but they just put out one that was erotic thrillers, which
Mhm.
is a genre I really like.
Mhm.
Um, and it's one that I think a lot of people kind of like. It's an easy one. I've found most girlfriends I've had have always, those are the types of movies I can show them, and it's always like, yeah, this one's gonna hit. They're gonna like it.
Mhm.
But when I was looking on there, I consider myself to be pretty well versed in erotic thrillers, and when I went on there, probably over half, I not even that I hadn't seen them, I hadn't even heard of them. So I was really taken aback and really hyped to be like, damn, I got some brand new movies to watch. And from that, I saw two very interesting ones. The
Mhm.
first one being Crimes of Passion, which is directed by Ken Russell.
Mhm.
He directed Altered States. He directed The Devils and a bunch of movies from like the 70s and 80s, and I think he's really kind of like the filmmaker's filmmaker. A lot of directors' favorite director is like Ken Russell.
Mhm.
Um, and he's made great movies. If you haven't seen any of them, highly recommend all of them. But this movie stars Kathleen Turner, and it has Anthony Perkins from Psycho, and it came out in '84, so 24 years later, and it is one of the most insane movies I've seen in a long time. Dino, it is. Kathleen Turner plays this like prostitute by night, um, and Anthony Perkins is like a priest who is like obsessed with her, but is trying to kill her, but wants to sleep with. It's just a whole thing. And then there's this other guy who falls in love with her, who is like following her, like he took up a job, like it's kind of like a PI sort of thing, and followed her, and then they begin a relationship, and it's I don't know. I don't want to get into too much. For those listening, I say just watch it blind. It is genuinely wild. It's the unrated version on Criterion Channel, and if you can find it any other place, try to find that one. Um, there is some brutal stuff in there, but it's very cartoonish. It feels like an adult cartoon with tons of like sex and stuff. And I heard someone mention that for the new movie Maxine, the follow up to Pearl,
Mhm.
you know that movie?
I do.
They're saying it's going to take place like 80s LA porn world. I think a lot of people are saying, or the vibe is that they're hoping, or they heard it's kind of taking on the vibe of Crimes of Passion, sort of
Interesting.
like an actual, really like dirty, dirty 80s erotic thriller. Like it is dirty.
Mhm.
Um, and there's stuff in there where I feel like Kubrick had to have seen it, because there's some stuff where like Eyes Wide Shut. There's moments of Eyes Wide Shut where I'm like, oh, especially the ending of this movie is almost identical to the ending of Eyes Wide Shut. Very
Really?
interesting to see. Yeah. Um, so highly recommend that. It's on there. And then I kind of harped about that one for a long time. So I'll just really briefly mention the Wachowskis' first movie ever. It's called Bound. They did The Matrix, they did Speed Racer, all those movies. Have you seen Bound, or have you heard of it?
I have not even heard of it. Like I've haven't seen like too many Wachowski movies,
Yeah.
but I didn't even know what their first one was. So this is very interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah, it's I'm not the biggest fan of them. Like I've only seen The Matrix, like
Mhm.
other than Now Bound. It's a movie I had heard of and I'd seen on a ton of lists. It's very highly rated and highly regarded, and I just had never seen it though. And then I saw Criterion put it on, so I'm like, I gotta see it now. It's available, but it stars Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly. She plays like the bride of Chucky, and though she's the one that talks like this.
Mhm.
Um, they play, so Gina Gershon moves into this like apartment building. She's like an ex-con, and she got a job there just kind of fixing up the apartment. And while she's fixing up this old apartment, the landlord's letting her stay there. And next door, Jennifer Tilly is like this really like seductive woman who's married to this like mob guy who's played by Joe Pantoliano. Joey Pants, the guy who's in Memento. He's in The Matrix as well. Um, you see him, you know exactly who he is. But she's married to him, and they begin a relationship. Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly begin this relationship together, and
Mhm.
they plot a way to steal $2 million and then in turn get her Jennifer Tilly's husband, played by Joe Pantoliano, to run out of town and escape alone because the mob will be after him, and then the two women can be together and have all this money. And it's a really great classic noir plot. It's executed great, and it's shocking that this was like a debut. Like, it's so bold, and like it's like The Matrix, where every single shot is like very, like, there is no just like just set it on the tripod here and let that. It's like unbelievable. And I think they went through a few DPs because for the budget and what they wanted to do, a lot of them weren't down for that. But they ended up being able to do it with Bill Pope, who's a great DP who did I think one or maybe all the Spider-Man movies for Sam Raimi and a lot of Marvel stuff. But he did this movie with them, and this is from '96, so it's kind of an earlier Bill Pope. But I highly recommend this movie, and if you have Criterion Channel, go watch it right now. And Dino, you got to find this. You got to find it somewhere.
I do, because I've been meaning to watch more Wachowski movies, and what better way to start at like their first movie?
Yeah,
I personally very interesting.
I personally like it more than The Matrix. Personally, it's just more up my alley in terms of genre. It's just more my thing. I think I'll
maybe like it more than if you say that.
Yeah.
I mean, I've only seen the first Matrix, by the way. I haven't seen them all.
Same.
Yeah. I've been meaning to watch the other.
Well, what are your thoughts on The Matrix? Is it sacrilegious for me to say? I think it's just fine.
It's okay. I mean, it's not bad. It's just not like something I really want to watch. It's well made. It's a classic for a reason and all that, but it's not one of my favorite movies, and I think that's okay to say.
Yeah. When was the first time? Like, how old were you the first time you saw it?
Well, I've seen it when I was a kid, but I didn't remember anything. So I watched it like for the first actual time, like remembering it, maybe like 4 years ago.
Okay, because I never saw it fully either. Like, again, bits and pieces on TV as a kid, but again, maybe like a few years ago, I sat down. I think maybe if we would have seen it when it came out, like had that frame of reference, it would have been a little more revolutionary.
For sure, I think it would be different, like having seen it back then. But now, I mean, the effects are still great, but it's just like, yeah, it's not one of my favorite movies. Still very, very well made. And I respect everyone who loves it and it's one of their favorite movies. It just doesn't do it for me as much as like other movies.
Same.
Yeah. Well, but I'll definitely check out their first movie because I like them. Have you seen Sense8, the TV show they did for Netflix?
No, I haven't seen anything that they've done besides The Matrix and Bound.
Okay, they did a very interesting show on Netflix. It's called Sense8.
Sense8? I'm gonna look it up.
It was canceled though, but I think they did a movie to conclude the story of that they were about to. But if I watched the first season, and it was a very interesting concept and a very, very cool show.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Oh, this looks cool. Sense8. Huh, interesting. I'll have to add that one to the watch list.
Check out more.
Heck yeah. Well, what did you watch? Enough of me rambling on here.
Well, but it's happy. Like, it makes me happy to hear that you've found movies you haven't heard of before. With the first one, what was it? Crimes of Passion.
Crimes of Passion. Another hard recommend, but that one's a little dirtier.
Because I think it doesn't happen often for you to like never have heard of a movie before.
Definitely.
And so that's always like a treat to find a movie you haven't heard anyone talk about, and you find it and you watch it, you don't know anything, and you end up loving it. So I think that just makes me happy that you experienced that. So
definitely, thanks.
Yeah. So what I watched, I didn't watch too much. I did watch the Super Mario Bros. Movie.
Ooh.
I mentioned that last week. I did end up going to the cinema to watch it, and it was all right. It was good. Not as good as I expected, to be honest. I expected it to be funnier for whatever reason. I don't blame it. I'm not mad that it wasn't. I just thought there would be like a lot more jokes,
Okay.
but I'm not complaining because only made like the story a bit more. It got more. How can I say it? It got a little bit more serious, but at the same time, I expected more of the story because the animation is beautiful. Like it's gorgeously animated. The score, of course, like Mario has one of the most iconic scores. So that was great. But I just didn't get enough time in those worlds because, of course, we've seen those worlds and we've played in them, but it just went from scene to scene so quickly that I just wish we would have gotten more, especially of the characters, because they tease it a little bit, like where Princess Peach comes from and Mario's motivation. I mean, he wants to make his dad proud and things like that, but it just wasn't enough for me. I get that the main target audience is kids and things like that, but I just would have loved to get a little bit more out of it. But they are doing a couple more projects. I mean, the second one is probably happening because it made a shit ton of money already.
Yeah.
It already made like 300 million, and it's
That's
been out for
insane.
like less than a week.
Yeah, that's crazy.
But I think they're doing a second one and a Luigi spin-off, which is great because Luigi didn't really get to do anything, which was sad. But
Interesting.
Seth Rogen as Donkey Kong was amazing. So,
I was gonna say, who's the standout in the movie? Is it Seth
but
Rogen?
definitely Seth Rogen, Donkey Kong. He's great.
How's because I just watched prior. I guess they did a music video. Cole
They did.
Bennett did a music video for Peaches with Jack Black.
Jack Black, he plays Bowser. He's also great, and he sings. He
Yeah.
sings a very great song.
He's one of those people where he always just gives 110% to everything that he does.
He does, and with this one especially, like you can tell this was a passion project. You can
Yeah.
tell he's so stoked to play this iconic
Bowser. Yeah.
character, this iconic villain. He gives it his not even 150, does like 1,000%. So
100%. Shout out to Jack Black, man.
he's amazing. He's a
He's
great guy.
amazing. I've never seen him in anything where I'm like, oh, he's just phoning it in. Not
Yeah,
once.
he really he really loves acting and he loves these roles. So he was meant to play that character or
Yeah.
voice. And then I watched another animated movie. I watched the third How to Train Your Dragon movie.
Oh, had you seen it before? Was this a first timer?
This was the first time. I've only seen the first and second one a couple of weeks ago because my girlfriend loves them. My girlfriend is huge into animation. She loves animated movies, which is great for me because I do love them, but I don't watch them as much as I want to.
Yeah.
I always put them on my watch list and I'm like, oh, I'm going to watch it eventually, but I'm never really in the mood, rarely. But thanks to her, I get to watch a lot more animated movies. And she showed me the first and second one. And also shout out to Adam from movie Metropolis UK. He's been posting about them so many
Hmm.
times, and it made me want to watch them. And I finally watched the third one, and it's also such a great animated movie. It's gorgeously animated, and
Uh-huh.
the story is also very great. It ties the trilogy really well together, and it gives it such a beautiful send off. And I was very impressed by it. So that was a win.
Do you have a favorite in the trilogy?
This one, the third one for sure.
Interesting.
It's really fantastic movie, and like I said, it's one of the best like third movies in the trilogy I've seen.
Wow.
Yeah, and they're
So
doing a
even
live action one. So the same director that did the animated ones is doing a live action one. I found out.
of the first movie, or is it a brand new story that they're doing, but just live action,
I
or
think
what are
they're
they doing?
remaking the first one in live action.
Interesting.
But I'm excited for that. And there's one more movie I just want to mention quickly. I watched the movie, and I'm curious to hear if you heard about it. It's called
Okay.
Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
Robinson Crusoe on Mars.
It's from
No,
1964.
I was gonna say there. It has to be an oldie.
It is. It's an old sci-fi movie directed by Byron Haskin, and it
I'm gonna
stars
pull it
Paul
out.
Mantony and also Adam West, and a monkey.
And a monkey.
and the monkey was the highlight, because I love old sci-fi movies.
Uh-huh.
And this is basically like The Martian minus the like agriculture farming. So he just is stranded on Mars. He has to survive. He has a monkey with him, and that's it.
Whoa. This looks super cool. Adam West. I'm adding this to the watch list right now.
Yeah, it's interesting. I didn't like it as much as I wanted to, but it's still a very interesting one. And I just find comfort in old sci-fi and horror movies. I think they just have
Definitely.
this specific vibe that I really love. And I wanted to mention it because it was fun, and especially the monkey. I love monkeys, so
I clicked on, if you click on the cast is only 4 people if you're
yeah.
on Letterboxd. And at the end, if you click on the monkey, who I guess the character's name was Mona,
Mhm.
the only description, this is the only film young Mona starred in, it seems. But it says Barney, so named by the owner, I think that's the name of the monkey for real, wore a fur-covered diaper in order to hide the fact that he was male, playing a female monkey, Mona.
Yeah.
Um, that's the only thing that's there on
I,
Letterboxd available about this monkey.
I watched the movie. I'm not sure why it had to be a female monkey. I
Yeah,
don't know why they did like go that length to
yeah.
hide the fact that it was a male monkey. Could have just made a male, but it's interesting. It's a
Yep.
very it's a fun fact.
I wonder if it was like an old time, like maybe it was like a standard, like a code of conduct thing, like you couldn't have like a little monkey dick bouncing around in a movie or something. So like
Maybe,
it has to be
maybe.
female. Where did you watch this movie on? Is it did you oh, is it on, it seems like a Prime or YouTube kind of thing.
It was on like Wow, it's called. It's a streaming service
Okay.
basically by Sky. Um, Sky has the rights here in Europe, or at least Germany, to stream like the HBO stuff.
Okay.
So I got it to watch The Last of Us, and a couple of HBO Max original movies and things like that, and it was on there, so I just watched it.
Oh,
It
cool.
sounded interesting and had a monkey, so I had to watch it.
You gotta watch it. I do. I love monkeys as well. Big
It's a monkey
monkey
in
ape
space.
fan.
It even has like a little space suit, so that's cute.
I was just talking with some of my friends. Do you remember the movies, or did these movies make it over there? There was, I think it started off with MVP, Most Valuable Primate, and
I
it's
watched.
the
I did. Yeah,
yes, the
they
chimp
had
who
like a
plays hockey.
bunch of monkey sports movies, right?
Yes, because then they did. I think the sequel was MXP, like Most Extreme Primate or something, and he's like a Tony Hawk type monkey or ape now. He had there
That's
was
great.
like 3 or 4 probably.
I remember
Fantastic.
one when he was skating, so that's probably that one.
That's yeah. That is pure cinema there, folks. That's they just don't make movies like they used to, I tell you.
For sure. The monkey movies, that was a wild era. They
It
did like
was.
a bunch of movies with just like monkeys. And wasn't there a dog like
There was
Airbud?
Airbud, which
Yeah,
was a bunch of movies, and then there was Beethoven as well, which he was
true.
going
Yeah,
around whiling out.
for sure.
That was a time. I don't know. That was probably what, the 90s or into the early 2000s, I guess,
I think
where they
so.
were just churning out all of these. What a great time.
It was a very wild time for movies.
What animal movies are even coming out now? Wasn't there one with Harrison Ford and he's walking around with the dog, like in the snow?
You don't know, there was the one with the Clifford, the big red dog.
Oh,
That
that's
came out
right.
like this year or last year.
That's right. Clip. Oh, that's right. But this is the thing. This is the thing now. What happens is that they're all CGI dogs. Back then,
That's
they had
true.
an actual damn ape, a chimpanzee on ice skates, skateboarding.
Mhm,
That's crazy. They had an actual golden retriever playing volleyball, dude, on a
mhm.
basketball team.
And he killed it. He
And he
absolutely
killed
killed
it. And he killed it. Now you just got some guy in like a green suit with like white dots all over him, on his hands and knees, like dunking basketballs and shit.
the real dog would have destroyed the human playing the dog.
100% every time. Well, we have some exciting film news and some anticipated stuff that I do want to talk about, but What do you say we take a quick break real quick and come back and get into all those?
For sure. Let's do it.
All right, cool. Alrighty, we are back. As promised, we have some anticipated stuff coming up this year. A lot of cool stuff, and some other things that may or may not come out this year, but are coming out eventually that we did hear about. But Dino, I know you're kind of tapped in with all the stuff coming out this year. What do we got on the path? What's coming up next? What's the next cool thing coming out in theaters?
Well, there's a bunch of cool movies coming out. First up on April 21st, Beau is Afraid. I know we talked about this in
Hmm.
the previous episode. How are you
I
feeling about Beau is
I
Afraid?
think I think my most that was probably like my most anticipated movie of last year, and then it
Hmm.
never came out.
Yeah. When it was still
So
called Disappointment Boulevard.
which I prefer that name personally.
Me too. Me too.
I think that's a great name. I'm not sure the reasoning for the change,
Me neither.
um, but I'll have to take to Reddit for that perhaps. But I'm really excited for it. I really like Ari Aster a lot. What about you?
I love Ari Aster. I love Midsummer and Hereditary. And I'm very excited to see this one, especially Joaquin Phoenix. He's amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm very excited to see what those two do. So on a scale from 1 to 10, how excited are you for Beau is Afraid?
For Beau is Afraid. Oh, I'm a 10. I'm very,
A
very
10?
excited. Like I will for sure see that. I consider a 10 to be like I'm gonna go see that opening night or opening weekend. Like
Mhm.
when that comes out, I will be there like immediately to go see that.
Mhm.
So I'm very stoked for that. And I just checked, they're still dropping the long ass version that I guess they originally didn't want to drop. Or
How long is it?
maybe he cut it down. The whole thing was that it was like 3 hours or
Mhm.
something, and they couldn't get down, and it's literally 2 hours and 59 minutes.
Interesting. So you really didn't get to cut a lot out of it.
Yeah, unless they're like it has to be under 3. He's like, all right, fine, 259. There you go.
That's great.
But it'll be a long one. Um, it seems that IMAX might be a good way to see this if available.
Yeah.
Very excited. What about you on a scale of 1 to 10?
I think probably like a 6 or 7. I mean, I'm excited for it, but it's not like oh, I have to see this.
Right, right. What
Yeah.
do you prefer? And excuse me, listeners, if I already asked this last week. Do you prefer Midsommar or Hereditary? Did I ask this already?
You did, but it's
I knew
Midsommar.
it. I
And I
knew
think
it.
you
I
said
knew I asked
Hereditary,
it.
right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I really like Midsommar a lot, but I think Hereditary. I don't know. I don't know. It's really a toss up. I really kind of view them equally.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't see Hereditary in theaters though.
Me neither. I
Yeah,
wanted to watch Midsommar, but I didn't get to,
yeah.
unfortunately.
That was a great, probably one of my favorite theater experiences. It's up there. That was
Oh,
that
I
was
bet.
just a good one. Seeing that on the big screen. I wish I would have seen Hereditary on the big screen as well.
Mhm.
But
Well, you have a chance to watch Bo's Afraid, and we'll see how it holds up in the Ari Aster filmography.
that's right. That's right. What else we got coming up?
Then we got on May 5th, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3,
Hmm.
which I'm super excited about. I said it before. How about you?
Probably the opposite end of the scale there. I doubt
Mhm.
I'll see it. But but I do know a lot of people are very excited for it, and I think that's
Mhm.
dope.
For me,
I
it's a
think
10 out of 10.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy has a cool like following and a cool like I feel like within Marvel, Guardians of the Galaxy has their own like cult sort of like following.
For sure. Especially the first one. Like it's so iconic, and the music they dropped the like the soundtrack for the new one.
Hmm.
It has some banger songs in there that I
Hell
can't wait
yeah,
to see how they utilize that. So yeah,
because the first
that's
one
one.
is dope. I did see the first one and I did enjoy it.
The first one was great. And I'm
Yeah,
very excited to see how this one ends. I'm not sure if I'm gonna be able to handle it. I think I'm gonna cry, but
yeah, yeah. Oh, so this is supposed to be the end.
this is the end of this team's roster. So
I see. I
they're
see.
gonna make more, but not with these characters, or like not all of them. So
Got it. Got it.
some of them are probably gonna die or something. So we'll see.
It's the last true Guardians of the Galaxy film.
It is, and it's focused on Rocket Raccoon. So we're gonna see his backstory,
Cool.
what he went through, and because reading all the like the comic books, I know a little bit. Of course, they're going to change it up, but it's going to be very sad. So prepare
Yeah.
to be sad.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one is on June 2nd, which is Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. How excited are you for that one?
I am excited for it.
Mhm.
However, I haven't seen the other one. But the reason I'm excited is because I've heard such great things about it that I have it on the watch list. Like, I'm going to watch this.
You got it.
I just needed a good excuse. So I'm
Mhm.
super excited because I think this new one coming out is a good excuse for me to finally go back, watch it, and then go see this new one on the big screen.
For sure. Definitely let us know what you think of the first one because I think you're going to love it.
Yeah, I'm gonna do. When did you say that was? June 2nd?
June 2nd.
Yeah, I'll once we get around there in another month or so, you'll
Mhm.
be hearing from me. That's for sure.
The first one has one of the one of my favorite soundtracks, and I just think you're gonna vibe with the music. So
Hell yeah. Okay, cool.
next up on June 16th, we have two movies coming out. We have The
Okay.
Flash and the new Pixar movie Elemental. You
Haven't
excited for
heard
any
of
of
it.
those?
Have not heard of. I don't even know what Elemental is. Never heard
It's
of
this
it.
new Pixar movie, which is basically like a bunch of element characters running around.
So like
And
hydrogen and oxygen and stuff.
it's well, it's more like the elements, so fire, water.
Oh, I thought the periodic table of elements.
That would have been cool. That would
I
have
was
been
gonna say
cool.
that sounds like some Pixar like type of shit.
Hmm. Maybe for the next one. That's
I'll
interesting.
write
That's a
it.
good pitch.
We should write it. We should write
We
it.
should. We should
It's
have
like
like
Inside Out, but instead of emotions, they're just elements on the
periodic table
periodic table. Yeah.
elements. That's great. That's great.
Nikki
Yeah.
Nitrogen.
Then we have on June 23rd, Wes Anderson's new movie Asteroid City.
Mm. It looks super cool.
It looks amazing. I love the whole vibe of it.
I do too. Great cast. Some first timers too, if I'm not mistaken, to
Amazing
the
cast. That
Wes
cast is
Anderson
sick.
camp.
With like Barbie and Oppenheimer, I think Asteroid City is up there with like the best cast.
Oh yeah. Yeah, they might have the on paper the most stacked one, probably.
Yep, they
I
do.
think
They do.
that's fair to say. And I'm super excited to see Steve Carell in a Wes Anderson, like a collab that should have already happened,
Mhm.
but hasn't. So I'm super excited to see that. What did you think of the French Dispatch?
I liked it a lot. I
Uh,
only watched it like recently, um, but I liked it. It's not one of my favorite Wes Anderson movies, but it's definitely like in the top five for me. How about you?
Interesting. Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was one of those where I really only kind of just enjoyed the visual aspects, which is a lot of Wes Anderson's movies. It's more so the visual first, I think.
For sure.
Um, but I don't know. I'd have to think about the rankings. I don't know if I'd put it in my top. What's your favorite, like off the top of your head, your favorite Wes Anderson?
Probably Moonrise Kingdom.
Good one.
It's a great one. How
Good
about
one.
you?
I got to give that one a rewatch. I think I tend to go like Royal Tenenbaums when
That's
I
a
think of
great
my
one.
number one. I really like that movie. I also really like Bottle Rocket because I like a lot of
Mm.
directors like early movies, and I like that low budget like run and gun kind of feel of Bottle Rocket.
Bottle Rocket is amazing. It's so underrated. I
Great movie.
wish it would get more love.
100%. I need to give Rushmore, and I have it on DVD or Blu-ray or something upstairs, but I need to give Rushmore another proper rewatch. I think that one a lot of people talk about as their number ones as well.
Same. I've only seen it once and it's been like forever, so I have to
Same,
rewatch that one.
same.
But all in all,
Perhaps we
are you a
we'll throw
fan
it on list.
of
I would say I'm a fan. I wouldn't say I'm as big a fan as maybe the mass public is, but I
Mhm.
do. He's another one. If a movie comes out, I'm gonna watch it. Like I'm gonna go see it because he's like an important figure in this generation of
Definitely.
filmmaking. So it's you have to. But I do like Wes Anderson, and I've seen all his movies.
Mhm.
So I do like him, but I'm not like, oh my god, he's the best filmmaker in the world. Like,
Mhm.
you know. but I do like him a lot. What about you?
I like him a lot. He's also not like one of my favorite directors, but I like him a lot, and I have seen all of his movies.
Hmm.
And I'm going to continue to watch all his movies because he's so important and he has such a unique visual style
Yeah,
that is amazing. So,
I think we're kind of in the same boat when it comes to old Wessie.
mhm. Then we got on June 30th, so a week later, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny.
Dun, dun,
To whoever
dun.
knows me knows this is my most anticipated movie.
Yeah, going to have to
Uh,
turn that scale from 1 to 10 to 11 for Dino
that's a
just on this
100 for
one.
me. I absolutely cannot wait. How about you?
I'm excited. I'll definitely go check it out. I think it looks cool. I saw they were doing a lot of like the Irishman kind of de-aging sort of stuff on
Mhm,
him. I don't know if it was you who reposted it. Maybe it was somebody else,
mhm.
um, but I was checking that. It looks pretty good. I was timid though when I first saw that. That was the first time that I was like, oh, I hope there's not a lot of this.
True, but Harrison Ford said that it is done amazingly, and he said he wouldn't have done it if the technology wasn't there.
Okay. Do you
So he
know
said it's
how?
not believable and realistic. I'm not doing it. So
Do
that
you
gives me hope.
know? Do you know? Like in terms of the story, is this supposed to take place when he's younger the whole time or something?
No, he's older, but through the Dial of Destiny, I think he like travels back or his soul
Oh,
travels back,
it's like
whatever.
a time travel thing.
It's probably gonna be a time travel thing.
Ah, okay.
Like it's gonna take him back, but we don't know how just yet. So
And who's directing this one again?
James
James
Mangold.
Mangold. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, I have faith in him.
Me too. Me too. Then we got on July 14th. One I didn't mention the last time. I think we already talked a little bit about our most anticipated movies. That's one I
Mhm.
forgot, which I'm very excited for. It's Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning.
Mm.
Are you at all excited for it?
I just haven't followed Mission Impossible in a while.
Mhm,
Um, so like I feel like they come out and I'm like, oh, that happened.
mhm.
I might
Have you
check it out.
seen?
I'm not against it, but I haven't seen one since maybe Mission Impossible 3, maybe.
So you haven't seen the most recent one, Fallout?
No.
You gotta watch it. It is
Actually,
one.
when was Ghost Protocol? Is that 4?
Ghost Protocol is 4. That came out in like 2014 or something.
I saw
Mhm.
that one. I did see that one. I remember seeing
Mhm.
that one in theaters actually.
Me too. But
I did.
definitely
Yeah.
check out the last two.
Is this going to be number 8?
It's 7.
Okay, number
There's going to
7
be
now. Okay.
7, and 8 is coming out the year after, so next year.
Okay, so it's already slated. Okay,
It's slated. It's like a double. So I think it was called like part 1 and part 2, but they changed it.
I got
So
it.
just going to go directly into the next one.
Got it. That's cool.
Definitely check out the last two, especially Fallout. It's one of the best action movies ever made. I'm not
Interesting.
kidding. It's
Interesting.
fantastic. Henry Cavill is in it, and he's great.
Ooh,
Mhm.
cool. I'll check it out
That's another 10 for 10 out of for me,
for the anticipation.
for sure. And then we got the best day on Earth this year on July 21st. We got Barbie and Oppenheimer.
Hmm.
We talked about it last week. How excited are you for both of those movies?
Yeah, we got tens all around here. I'm very excited. I think we talked about same day which one are we picking. I think I think I'm going Gosling. I'm going Barbie. But I'm very, very stoked. I know you are as well. I might have to pull the double feature same day, 2 movies.
Mhm. I think that's gonna be. I've never done a double feature at the theater,
Oh, really?
but I think on that day I'm just gonna go straight from Barbie to
You got
Oppenheimer
to.
without going home.
You got to. You have to.
I think a lot of people are gonna do that,
Yep. Have some lunch in between, some nice popcorn and a hot dog.
and you have a great day.
There you go.
And then we have on September 29th, Paw Patrol. I mean, that's a clear 10 out of 10. I'm
Yes,
joking.
sir.
I
Did they
just put
not
it.
cancel Paw Patrol? Didn't they cancel it?
Did they?
at least in America, one of the dogs got canceled because he was like a cop, and it was like when they were doing all the Black Lives Matter riots, they canceled it because they said he was racist or something.
No way, did they actually?
Actually, like he got canceled. One of the dog, like the cop dog or whatever. Something
Well,
happened.
this is a
I'm
comeback for him. He
all
has a new
right.
movie coming out.
Hey, bigger comeback than Bill Cosby here.
We talked about animal movies, even though it's animated.
That's right.
They're making a comeback
But hey, at least they're doing something. We need
for
more.
sure. Maybe he's not a cop anymore. Maybe he's a firefighter now or something.
Yeah. Yeah, now he's just
He
yeah,
changed
exactly.
profession.
He works pro bono, just a community service. Yeah.
Exactly. And then on October 20th, we got Killers of the Flower Moon, which is finally coming out. We've been waiting forever. How excited are you for Martin
I think
Scorsese's new flick?
I think this one might be my number one actually over Beau's Afraid. I forgot it was even coming out. I forgot that this was actually a real movie that was actually going to be released to the public. Um,
We didn't get anything apart from like the one image of Leonardo DiCaprio
yeah,
sitting at a table.
yeah. I'm very excited. It has a great cast. Brendan Fraser's in it as well. I'm
Is he?
very excited. Yeah, I'm
I
very
didn't know that.
excited for like just like he's back. It seems like a mystery kind of thriller sort of thing. I'm very excited. I didn't love The Irishman personally, so I'm
Same.
excited to see him do something again and just see what it is. And then I'm pretty sure he's already making another movie right now with Jonah Hill. Are you aware of that?
I I'm not with Jonah Hill, our
Yeah. Okay. I'll
savior, Jonah
I know
Hill.
you might have one more movie. We'll do one more and then we'll get into some others. But I'll wait. I'll wait for that one.
Okay. We got actually got a couple more. We got on November 3rd, Dune Part 2, which is
Okay.
coming out this year. I think last time I said it's coming out next year. I was wrong. It's coming out this year.
Okay.
You excited?
I'm pretty excited. I'll go check it out. I know you're very excited. I feel like this is gonna be a good
I
year
am.
for you.
It's great year so far, and it's gonna be even better.
Have you seen Lynch's Dune?
I have. I have. Not a fan.
Cinema.
Cinema. Well, it's not his fault. I would have
It's not
loved
his
to
fault.
see
His
the
cut.
other, the canceled one, Jodorowsky,
Jodorowsky's Dune.
Jodorowsky's. I
Now
didn't know
that's
how to
that shit.
pronounce it.
Yeah.
That looked wild, like the concept art.
That probably would have been like one of the all-timers.
Oh, for
Um,
sure.
are you familiar with Jodorowsky's
I'm
movies?
not. I didn't even know how you pronounce his name. I've
Yeah.
seen it like written, but I've never heard anyone say his name.
Yeah. He makes some interesting stuff. Um, definitely worth the watch.
Okay, I need to put them on my watch list. On November 22nd, we got Napoleon, Ridley Scott's new movie with Joaquin Phoenix.
Hmm.
That looked very cool. Are you excited for that one?
I am. I haven't seen any images or anything for it, I don't think. Actually, I saw one photo, like one productions, like behind the scenes photo of Joaquin.
Mhm.
Um, I for years and years and years, Napoleon was the passion project of Stanley Kubrick that he never got to make. So this is kind of a sacred thing to be taking on for any director. So Ridley Scott, he's got some cojones to take this on, and I am excited to check it out. Joaquin obviously can do no wrong,
Thank you.
but
And he looks great as Napoleon, so
I'll have to look at some more stills. What are they going to do with the height thing?
that's interesting. That's interesting because I don't know. Well, Napoleon wasn't as short as people think. I think that's like a myth. But he
Really
was, yeah, he wasn't as short as people say he was.
interesting. What? And if you don't know, what if you had to take a guess,
How tall he
how
was?
tall do you think he was?
Well, I would have to do it in centimeters or like meters. I don't know,
Okay, that's right. Yeah.
but I'd say like 167, which is still short for a man, I think, but not as short as people might
You're
think.
you're pretty much spot on.
No way.
It's 168.
So I was wrong.
meters, which is like 5'6" ish.
Mhm.
Um, which yeah, like that's not that bad at all. I thought he was like 4'10" or something.
That's what most people think, and I thought it too. But then I read like it's not actually true. He wasn't as short as people think. So, how tall is Joaquin Phoenix? He's taller
Let's
for sure, but
let's look. Oh, dude, he's only 5'8", so that's probably 1.17 or something. I
okay,
don't
so
know
he's
in
not
meters.
that far
One
off.
176. 176.
Maybe you can just go like lower with his head, and
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that big a difference the way you put the camera. You put someone else on an Apple box to stand a little higher or something like that.
for sure.
Interesting, interesting. I legitimately thought that was true my whole life, that he was like 4'9",
Me
was like
too.
just
And
a
then I
man
found out,
baby.
so I thought I'd share that knowledge with you.
Wow, thank you. That's awesome.
You're welcome. And then we go into December. On December 15th, we got Wonka with Timothy Chalamet,
Shamalamain.
Timothy Charmander. Are you excited for this movie?
um, who's directing this movie? Do we know?
We know. Let me look it up because I don't know, but we know. It's directed by Paul King, who did the Paddington movies.
He did what movies? Paddington?
Paddington 1 and 2.
Paddington. Wow. Okay. Um, I personally don't really care about the movie. I'll probably maybe go see it.
Mhm.
Um, are there any stills released of old Timmy?
There's one with his suit as a prequel. It's a young Willy
Young, right?
Wonka.
Yeah.
We got a couple like behind the scenes. A friend of mine actually lives where they shot it.
Interesting.
So I saw in his story them just going like right in front of his apartment,
Oh,
filming.
cool.
So I saw a couple behind the scenes videos.
I've seen this one photo that's kind of going around.
Yeah.
Hugh Grant is playing an Oompa Loompa.
Is he really?
Yes.
Holy shit.
Interesting. Keegan Michael Key is in this. Ah, this looks cool. Actually, I probably will check this out. Seems different.
Me too. I'm not super excited. Like it's not a must watch, but I watch it
Yeah.
just to see what it's like.
Hmm.
And then we got two more movies on December 20th. We got the new Aquaman movie, Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom, which
Hmm.
apparently people walked out of early screenings, which is a bad sign.
Because it was doo doo.
Apparently, it's garbage.
Ooh,
I don't know how
okay.
true it is. Those could just be rumors, but if you hear that people walk out of early screenings, that doesn't usually happen. Like even with bad movies, people usually stay.
Yeah, this is okay. So this is James Wan again is directing it. Um, Willem Dafoe isn't? Is Willem Dafoe in the other one?
He plays someone, his
And Ben
mentor or something.
Ben Affleck is Ben Affleck in the other one as well?
He isn't, well, he plays Batman, so he might be in it as
Oh,
Batman.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
There was
yeah,
a lot of controversy as well because of the Amber Heard situation, because she's
yeah,
still in the movie. They didn't recast her.
yeah.
So that's probably gonna be a PR disaster.
Hmm.
But then we got a sequel to the most recent Ghostbusters Afterlife movie,
Yeah.
which I'm excited for.
I I didn't see Afterlife, but it's the sequel that everyone seems to be the most gung ho about in terms of those 80s reboot sort of things. Like I
For
know
sure.
Coming to America too wasn't like all that great and some other ones, but this
It
one I know a
was.
lot of people loved, especially like the Ghostbusters fans really loved it.
Well, because the son of the original director directed it.
Right, right.
There
What's
was
his
a
son's? Is his son's name Jason Reitman?
it's Jason Reitman, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can just feel like the love put into it and like passing on the mantle from his dad to him.
Is he doing the sequel?
He is. I think
Cool,
so. I hope.
cool.
I hope.
That went from yes, I think, I hope.
Sure hope. But those were the movies that I picked out. You have a
Oh, that's
couple
awesome.
more projects that you mentioned.
Yeah, yeah, and I'll move quick because I'm sure the people want to hear about old Llewyn, but a few movies that I was researching that that I saw it came out. The one that I mentioned earlier, the Jonah Hill, Martin Scorsese, I think is a little more well known. They're doing a movie about Jerry Garcia from the Grateful Dead, and Jonah Hill is playing Jerry Garcia allegedly.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Um, I don't
Didn't
know if
know
they've
that.
already started production or it's in pre-pro or what,
Mhm.
but that's happening, and I think it's supposed to be the next Scorsese film after Killers of the whatever Flower Moon.
Interesting.
Um,
I'm excited to see that one.
I'm excited to see that too. But two others that I'm more excited for, two of my favorite directors, that I know you like both of them as well. Have you heard about this new Safdie Brothers movie that's going to come out?
I have. I
Okay.
have with Adam Sandler.
Yes, I just found out today like what it's about. Which is super cool, and it seems like kind of like a sister film to Uncut Gems
Mhm.
in a way, but I'm super excited for that. That just seems like right up like I just can't wait to see like a 90s, like I'm assuming New York, um portrayed on film with them.
Isn't it the one about the trading card collector?
Yeah, about like the
Horse trading
collapse
cards?
of baseball cards in like the
Hell yeah.
90s. That's going to be
Hell yeah.
super cool. That's a very Safdie-esque kind of story. Like I saw that, I'm like, of fucking course. I'm like, this is so dope. Of
For
course you guys
sure.
are doing this.
And Adam Sandler, I'm so happy for him. This is
I
probably
heard
like one of my most anticipated movies in the next
yeah,
couple of years.
me too. I heard Megan the Stallion just joined the cast of it as well.
No way. Isn't Florence
Um,
Pugh also in it?
oh, is she? I didn't see that. That
I'm not
kind of
sure.
rings a bell though. That kind of rings a bell.
They announced a project with her, but maybe that's a different project.
Interesting. Let me do a quick Goog real quick. Hold on, it'll take me 20 minutes because as I mentioned, the N key is stuck. So Lawrence. All right. I'm not seeing anything. I mean, Oppenheimer is the only thing that's coming up because Benny Safdie is also in it.
Mhm.
And so is Florence Pugh, but I can't find anything specifically with them directing and her.
Okay, maybe I heard it wrong, but maybe it's a different project that hasn't been announced.
Maybe I know she's also going to star in Alexander Skarsgård's debut, which I might have mentioned on like the first episode or so. Um, but yeah, she's out here, she's working. But I'm very excited for that movie, regardless. And then
Me too.
another one that I wasn't aware, and you might know this one also, was I was reading about the new Paul Thomas Anderson movie. Have you heard about this movie?
I'm not sure. Maybe
It's supposed to be it's like it takes place in like the 1940s. It's like a Los Angeles jazz kind of film.
I haven't heard about it.
Allegedly, the star is going to be Denzel Washington.
No way.
Yes.
That's a
And
dream combination.
yes, and this is all allegedly. I don't know for sure. This is just the rumors here. Um, but I think Tiffany Haddish is also supposed to be rumored to be in it and helping to put it together. But word on the street is that he was working on this before Licorice Pizza and put it down because he said it was just too dark of a movie.
Shit, alright.
And a lot of people say it's kind of him leaning back more into the um, thriller, kind of dark thriller mystery sort of thing, that maybe he hasn't done in a while. Um, but uh, but that's kind of word on the street of what it is: 1940s jazz in Los Angeles. Um, I think kind of dealing with the race relations there and kind of the jazz culture there. And uh, I mean, Denzel, if this actually happens, Denzel and PTA,
Oscar.
I might cry.
that's going to be a dream combination, and I hope it happens because it sounds amazing and I need to see that
Need that combo. I
for sure.
absolutely need that. What do you think, and now that we've kind of concluded that, what would you say would be like a dream combo, like a director actor combo? Again, putting you on the spot, we can think about it and come back to it at the end, but a
Mhm.
dream like director actor combo. Someone who hasn't worked, like a pair that hasn't worked together that you would love to see.
I have to think about that one. That's a good question.
Yeah. I might have to think about that as well because I would want to give a good answer myself.
Let's do that at
Um
the end if we can
let's
think of
let's
something.
food for thought. Let's well, why don't we go ahead and just take a break? We can think about that for a sec. Why don't we talk about our old pal Llewyn Davis, and then we'll circle back around to that at the end.
Let's do it.
All right. See you in a sec.
Okay, guys, and we're back. We're going to talk about this week's movie, which is Tristan. Which movie are we talking about?
We're talking about your pick from last week, and that is Inside Llewyn Davis by the Coen brothers.
Great movie, which we have both seen before. So this
Yeah.
was it your
First time on the
second
pod,
time,
right?
third time,
This was my only my second time seeing the movie.
second? Same for
Um,
me.
but yeah, I was due for a rewatch. It has been a long time for me.
Mhm.
I don't. You said this was your second time as well?
Second time as well.
Oh wow. Okay, cool.
Mhm.
When was the last time you'd seen it? Or the
The
first
first
time,
time
I
I seen it
guess.
was probably like 4 years ago.
I'd say I'm about in the same boat myself.
Mhm. So about the same time. But
Yeah,
we're going to have a little spoiler discussion. So if you haven't seen the movie, don't listen further.
turn it
Go
off.
watch it, come back. We're going to go into full spoilers. Be
That's
warned.
right. That's right.
Yeah, so I'm going to go over the plot just briefly, and then we can talk about it. The movie takes place in 1961 in Greenwich Village in New York,
Hmm.
and it follows our protagonist, Llewyn Davis, who is a folk singer, and opens with him singing in a bar, playing his guitar. And then he goes in a back alley of that bar, and he gets beat up by a guy in a suit. We don't know who he is, what Llewyn did to get beat up. But then the film follows him through a little journey he does. So he doesn't really have a home. He goes from couch to couch, sleeping at friends' houses, and he just performs, tries his luck as a solo artist, playing folk music. Um, and he has a couple of friends, Jim and Jean, who he has a little, little, how can you say, like a
Like a
little
fling.
affair
Yeah.
with Jean,
Hmm.
gets her maybe pregnant. She doesn't know who the kid is from, so he tries to get money for the abortion. He also There's also a cute little cat, an orange tabby,
Yeah.
uh, his friend's house, who escapes because of him. So he tries to catch the cat, which he doesn't. Um, and then he goes to Chicago to try his luck with a producer there. And the film doesn't really have like a cohesive story, just
Hmm.
follows along. So just stuff happens to him, um, and he doesn't get anywhere in Chicago, so he comes back to New York, does a couple more stuff, and then he ends up back at the bar where he plays, and he gets beat up again. So we get right back. I didn't want to tell too much of the plot,
Yeah.
because we're going to talk about our favorite scenes and things like that. And the plot really isn't that important because we follow him on this journey, and the things that happen don't really have that much of a meaning. So let's just talk about favorite scenes. Maybe what are some of your favorite scenes?
Yeah. I mean, I love the cat, just not a specific scene, but I think the cat is probably my favorite, like plot line throughout it. Um, so I do love the scene when he picks up the cat, sort of a la Meet the Parents, when he brings back the wrong cat.
Mm-hmm.
Um, only unlike Ben Stiller, he wasn't aware that it was the wrong cat. And I forget the name. Is it Lily? The name of the
Ulysses, the cat.
Ulysses is the cat, but
Ulysses.
the lady who the Fondheims or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I forget, but Miss Fondheim or God,
Mhm.
whatever her last name was. When she finds out, she goes, "There's no scrotum. Where's the scrotum?"
Scrotum.
I think that's a great scene. But another like subtle scene that I really love is when he goes to stay at which totally forgot Adam Driver was in this movie.
Mhm.
I did not remember that at all. And there's that scene where he goes and he has his big box of all his unsold records, and he goes over to Adam Driver's apartment. That's where he's going to stay for like a night or two or whatever. And he tries to he has this big box with him, so he pushes it underneath like a little table, so that way it'd be out of the way, and it like meets like some resistance. So like he pulls it back, and when he sees what's inside, it's just all of Adam Driver's. It's the exact same thing, but all of his unsold um, albums. And I just thought that was a great like little moment of that's super funny and just kind of like, damn, all these kind of artists are sort of in the same boat, and it is a struggle, but they're still kind of doing the damn thing regardless.
Sure. And there's also a fun fact about the cat. The cat wasn't even originally in the movie. The Coen
Interesting.
brothers feared that the movie just doesn't have a plot and people would get bored. So they
Ah,
included the cat to have like sort of a plot element.
interesting. That was a
So
good
that
addition. It was a
it
good
was, it
addition.
was a little mystery there.
Definitely. I think that's a smart move by them, because like you said, it's a very just a character driven kind of day in the life sort of vibe to the film. There's no real plot or story. Is that
Mhm.
something that you like about the film?
A lot because I like it when like I love those slice of life movies. I
Yeah.
love movies where we just follow a character through his day, week, whatever.
Hmm.
So this was perfect for me. And it doesn't really like doesn't go anywhere. And that's sort of the beauty of this movie. And that's why I didn't want to get too much into the plot. Because
Hmm.
we at the end we go right back where he started.
Yeah.
So it's not like a loop, it's not a time loop or anything, but it just shows like his cycle of depression, and his cycle like as an artist, the struggle of an artist, like this tortured artist, that he tries and tries and he ends up back at the exact same moment getting beat up in that alleyway.
Hmm.
So that's what I found very interesting.
And I have a question for you, base, because I remember. So again, kind of same thing for me. I probably saw it maybe 5 years ago was when I saw this movie for the
Mhm.
first time, and I did enjoy it a lot. And I remember thinking about it then, and now looking back, I was like, or going into this watch, I was like, I wonder if it'll feel like a first time kind of watch, because it's been a while. I don't think about the movie very often, so I'm like, I wonder if it'll be. But I kind of remembered a lot of the beats of it for the most part. There were a few things like Adam Driver completely forgot, but I
Mhm.
remembered a lot of the beats. And I remember when I experienced it this time, which I'd forgotten, and I remembered, I was like, oh, I remember feeling the same way. Was do you think that the ending and the beginning is the same scene? Do you think it's a loop, or that he's just found himself in an identical situation? Or because there's a certain kind of weird sort of fantasticness to it. But I don't know. I'm curious to know your thoughts, because when I saw it, I was like, I completely forgot about this weird thing. Like I knew there was something that felt almost like not mystical, but there is almost like a mystical-ish nature to it, if that makes sense.
I think it's metaphorical. So I see it as a metaphorical loop. I
Yeah.
don't think it's actual because it is the same scene, but from different angles.
Yeah.
It's the same character, like the same guy who beats him up. And it's actually because so the movie is sort of like a folk song because
Mm,
you wind up with an incident like a situation in the first verse, and
hmm.
then something completely different happens in the second verse, and so on. Just like the movie, like he has this thing where he has to find the cat. The cat thing doesn't work out. He brings the wrong cat. Then he goes to Chicago. That's his all. This is like his separate story, his own
Yeah.
story where he does something, and that doesn't wind up anywhere. And then he's back in New York, trying something else, trying to join the Marines or whatever. But in the end, it sort of loops back to the first verse, the first incident, and it's the same, but because of the journey, like because of the whole song, we learned something. So it doesn't. We learned more about him. Now we know why the guy could have beaten him up, because he and the night before he hassle like one of the new singer.
That lady, he's
Yeah, and I
just
think
like heckling her.
that's why the guy beat him up. So
Yeah,
we know a bit more about who Llewyn is and what kind of guy he is, and he pissed off a couple people. So we just learned more about. So I think it's a metaphorical loop. Do you agree, or
yeah.
do you have a different?
I do. I mean, it definitely is like in a symbolic way because but there are differences where I'm like, this could be a completely just like separate moment, kind of where it's like you know what I mean? Like that could have just been like a coincidence, like a deja vu, or like, oh, this happened to me before. Because when he leaves the apartment, which I do love how you mentioned about us learning, but it's him learning. He stops the cat. Like throughout all of that shit he went through, he did learn something. It might have been small, but he learned something, and he's still trekking on regardless, which is what I love about the movie. But there is something like that where I'm like, oh, that's different from the beginning. So therefore, I don't think it makes me think the beginning was not like the end, and then we started and then worked our way to where, like, how movies do that. They start like from the end and then you go back and then you lead there. That's what I thought it was. But then that scene of him stopping the cat is what makes me think that it's not. But also I don't know. Perhaps I'm looking too much into it, and maybe that's where, I don't know. Who knows? Maybe that was the only coincidence part.
But it's interesting because that makes me think about like the meaning of it. And I think we go through these cycles where we think, oh, the same shit happens to us over and over again and nothing changes. But it does change because we learn something, even if it's just a little thing, like stopping the cat, which isn't significant, but it's still, he learned something. So it's not the same shit over and over again. He doesn't learn.
It wasn't a journey wasted. Like he came out of it learning something, because he's beaten down a lot, clearly.
He is.
Like relationships get lost financially. He makes stupid decisions.
His partner, his best friend,
his best
committed
friend.
suicide.
Yeah. Which I learned afterwards, all the vocals, which I'm sure you knew this was done by Marcus Mumford. Because listen, I was like, this sounds super familiar, this voice, and I looked it up. I'm like, oh, cool. Yeah.
He's actually married to Carey Mulligan, which I only found out.
That's right. Which I wonder if they were together at this point 10 years ago.
I think maybe. I'm actually not sure when they started dating. Could be. Maybe they met through this movie.
Interesting. I'm gonna look it up. But yeah, like he did at least learn something. But then also, like, if we're talking that like in a technical kind of way, yeah, they've been married since 2012. So they were married like when they were making this film.
Okay,
I wonder if that's probably how we got linked into it. But but if we're looking at like from like a technical way of like how are we going to draw this story out, maybe that's like where I don't know. I don't even know. I think I'm just getting too technical here. I'm going to start sounding like an idiot on here. But anyway, that's the only thing that makes me think like, oh, maybe he is, or this is like just a coincidence, the ending. And then also like the Bob Dylan, like at the end when you hear Bob Dylan still in the alleyway, I don't know if that's playing. I don't think that's playing in the beginning. Like, I don't think you hear that Bob Dylan playing either, if I'm not mistaken.
No, I'm pretty sure it's not a like exact loop. It's just to show you the repetitiveness of of that,
of his life,
for sure, and his depression, which his movie is like really about.
Yeah.
There's also a little funny connection to last week's movie Hard Target.
How so?
So the scene where he goes to the guy to join the Navy?
Yes, I thought the exact thing.
Yeah, I wrote it down because I thought this scene, like, we had the scene in Hard Target where he
The
tries to
exact
join
scene with the dues.
the guy, and he's like, oh, you have to pay your due, your fee.
Yeah.
And so he does something to get those fees, which
Yes.
also happened in this movie. So I wanted to connect this a little
Yes.
bit.
You're right. I did think of that because I was like, this is literally, I was just thinking of Jean-Claude, just like, I worked for 2 days, $217.
Yeah, exactly.
That was good. Yeah. It's funny how I feel like there's a weird thing going on where the movies that we watch somehow weirdly
Connect.
sort of echo something that's happened either the week before or one of the movies prior.
Mm-hmm.
This is the
And it has
literally
happened
me. Yeah,
a
6
bunch
degrees
of
of
times
literally
now.
me.
Something with this podcast, man. It's magical.
That's right.
Then, well, there's also a couple more things I wrote down, mainly because of Llewyn, because the whole metaphor of the movie, because it's a movie about depression, and like, so Llewyn, he finds comfort in his sadness and depression, and he sort of he wants it. So he gets a couple opportunities to get out of that circle, that cycle. Um, for example, with the guy who suggests him, "Hey, I'm putting together this trio. If you want to join," and he doesn't want to, and he gets a couple opportunities, so like ways when he finds out that he tries to get money for the abortion, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's why he goes to Chicago, where he does this great song with Adam Driver, the
Mm-hmm.
policeman Kennedy, which is still stuck in my brain. And he can decide, like, do you want the royalties or do you want $200 right now?
Yeah.
And he takes those $200 because he has to pay for the abortion. And he
Yeah.
later finds out that song is going to be a hit.
Yeah. There's a great callback when he's like at the, I got to look up their name. I keep saying it. How do
Mhm.
you say their name? The Gendheims or Fordheims, whatever they're called. But when he goes back to their apartment or their condo or whatever, and their
Mhm.
buddies are there, their friends are like, well, that one, I mean, I can only imagine the royalties on that. You're going to see his
Mhm.
face. He's like, yeah, I
Yeah.
really fucked up on that one.
But he needed money for the abortion. And then
Yeah.
he goes to the doctor and he says you don't have to pay because of last time. So he finds out that was before that. He finds out that his ex-girlfriend didn't do the
Mm-hmm.
abortion.
Another kick to the shin for him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And when he,
Gorfine.
that was it. And when he comes back from Chicago, he drives past Akron, is it?
Yeah, Akron, Ohio.
Akron. And his ex-girlfriend is there. So he can decide, like, he could go there and be reunited with his ex-girlfriend
Mm-hmm.
and his potential kid, which would also be a way out. Like, it may be a way to happiness, but he
Yeah.
doesn't do it either. So I think he gets chances, but he really doesn't want to, and he's stuck, like, in his struggle. And it sort of gives, I think he finds comfort in it, and it gives him meaning in his life, because that way he has a drive, that way he has, like, a hate towards the world, and he can
Mm-hmm.
feel alone. And I think that's a big metaphor for, like, depression, this cycle he gets through. And I think he's scared if he loses that, like, that hate and that struggle, he can't feel anything anymore.
Yeah.
And I think that's his only shot at happiness, what was with his partner, and he doesn't have that anymore, and he doesn't want to try anything new. So
And
that
that's
was something I really liked.
Yeah, and that's part of the fuel too, I guess, especially for like a tortured kind of artist like himself. That's sort of what fuels you as well, is that kind of sadness or that heartache or heartbreak or whatever it may be, and there's another moment, that's where I thought of it. It was where he's singing again at the Gore finds, um or it's before he sings and they're trying to get him to play a
Mhm.
song for their friends. He doesn't want to, and she says, isn't I thought singing was supposed to be like a happy expression of the soul. And you see in his face, and he didn't say it, but in my head I'm like, it also can just be absolute torture
Mhm.
to do it, but it's still something you need to do. um but just kind of seeing him sort of take that, and that scene in general, it's hard to watch.
It
Um,
is
but it's a tough thing kind of balancing that, but ultimately you kind of, not that you need it, but you kind of do in a weird way.
for sure. Did you like the songs?
Yeah, I think that's like the number one thing that might be needs to be highlighted, is that a lot of people talk about like, oh, what are movies that like the soundtrack might be better than the movie? This movie's fantastic, but the soundtrack is like on another level.
Mhm.
It's, which I don't know if like it's ever, I mean, and they perform all the songs. I think a lot from what I read or from what I heard, most except for like one is all performed actually live,
Mhm.
recorded. Like that's just all happening right there. Um, and I mean, it's unbelievable. They're all so good. And obviously, you have people like Justin Timberlake. It's like, yeah, of course, he's a great artist. He's a triple threat. But then someone like Oscar Isaac, where it's like, I did not know you had this in you. Adam Driver kind of does it a little goofy. Like I saw that for Adam Driver. I'm like, I see this.
Mhm.
Carey Mulligan was pretty good as well, musically, but ultimately, I mean, Oscar Isaac, like what he's playing on guitar is not easy either, and to do that while singing, like that is not an easy thing that he's doing whatsoever.
He's been playing the guitar since he was 12.
Okay, I didn't know that he was like previously a guitar player or what. Okay, so he
Yeah.
is a guitarist himself.
He is, but I think he played like for himself. I'm not sure if he released any music before that.
Okay, but like at least like as a hobby, or he's been playing.
For sure. Like he
Okay,
probably was like in a like school or something when he was a kid.
yeah.
But
Okay,
he has been playing for a while.
okay.
And they like the producer said like you struck gold to the Coens because he can act and he can sing. And
Yeah,
boy does he sing, like he is amazing.
unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I don't
Do
like,
you have-
that's one of those things where like if I was him and I make that, I'm like, how can I not like go pursue this as well? Like how can I not go on tour now and not try to put out an album, because it's unbelievably good.
and I'm not sure if he's done anything
I don't think
since.
so.
I don't think
I
he's
don't
released
think
any
so.
original music, which he should.
He should. He's unbelievable.
Do you have a favorite song?
I love the I don't know if it's called Hang Me or Hang Man, but the opening song
Mhm.
is really, really good. And that's the one that I've kind of thrown on a couple times since.
Same.
Um, it's just a great song. It reminds me, there's an artist named Josiah Daniel who he's a very underground, somewhat country folksy sort of singer now. And I was listening, I'm like, this reminds me a lot of like that kind of vibe.
Mhm.
I highly recommend that. But that song is really good. And then I do love that duet that he plays in the apartment with him and Mike. I forget the name of that song, but it's also the one I believe he was playing in the apartment before he snapped on Lillian. Um, which is
Fairly
there
well.
fairly, yeah, fairly well. Was there a connect? What was their connection? I don't know if I missed this, or what's their connection to him? How does he know those swanky people? Were they related to Mike?
Well, the husband was a professor,
Uh-huh.
so he might have been a professor of them, or maybe he was just. I'm actually not sure.
Because I was thinking about like halfway through, I'm like, how does he know these people?
I
And
don't
it
think they
seemed,
mentioned it. They probably
yeah,
like their music. Maybe he was part of them somehow because they knew Mikey. They knew Mike.
yeah. But there's also like clearly a bit of an age gap too. Like it's like
Definitely.
not that they like grew up as friends, it seems. Um,
Maybe he was their professor. I don't think they mentioned it in the movie.
yeah, because I was curious. And then it crossed my mind at one point where I'm like, are they Mike's parents? Because especially in that scene where he snaps, like, and she's upset, and like that's Mike's part, and it was like, I was like, maybe this is like her son. Like, there was like for a split second, I was like, maybe that's what that is. I don't know. Um,
Maybe. I'd have
but
to
yeah,
look into
I
that
don't think
because
they say.
the room he sleeps in, I don't know if it's a guest room or maybe it's Mikey's old room.
Hmm.
We don't know. I'm gonna
It looks like a
Like,
little like a little office slash guest room thing.
okay. Well, maybe they were his parents. I'm not sure. Next time I watch it, I'll definitely
Yeah,
pay
I'm gonna do
attention if
some
they
digging
mention
afterwards
something.
just because I'm curious. Because I was like, who are these people? Like, how does he know them? But yeah,
Ju-
the soundtrack is fantastic though. What did you say? Hang Me's also a favorite of yours?
Hang Me, and I really like the Please Mr. Kennedy song
Oh,
with
so do
Adam
I.
Driver. That was a great one.
Outer
It gave me an idea
space.
for a little edit I want to do.
Okay.
So maybe you'll see something
Yes, sir.
with that if I do more. I'm actually trying to see if we have like a last name for Mike's character, so that way we can figure out if they
Yeah.
were his parents. But because the guy who well, he didn't play Mikey, but he was like
Photographed.
photographed. That's not because what's his first name? Mumford, the guy
Marcus Mumford.
Marcus
Yeah,
Marcus Mumford.
it's not him.
He does like the vocals for Mike,
Uh-huh.
but the guy playing him like the photograph is someone else. But I can't find anything,
Mhm.
so I'm not sure. But yeah, definitely Hang Me and um, Please, Mr. Kennedy. That scene was great. Adam Driver
Gr-
was so funny.
hmm
His voices he did.
Yeah, that was like peak driver and an early Adam Driver role
Mhm.
as well.
Yeah, it was one of his earlier ones.
I think beforehand, what had he done prior film wise? I think he had done Francis Ha and he was in another like pretty was he in Lincoln?
I haven't seen Lincoln.
I haven't either, but I think he was in that.
Could be. Let me check.
Because I remember like early on he had this like there was like, oh shit, he worked with like three like all-time GOAT filmmakers, like back to back to back.
He Francis Howe was 2012, so
Right.
that was
Right
before.
before this.
He was in Lincoln.
He
2012,
what?
2012 as well.
Yeah. And then he did this 2013.
Yeah, that's crazy.
What's his first film role? Because I know he was on TV here in the States first.
His first film. Hmm, I'm trying to find it. He did a Clint Eastwood film in 2011, J. Edgar, which I haven't seen.
Oh, he's in oh, interesting. I didn't know he was in that either. Okay, so make that 3 years in a row. He was kind of going crazy at the beginning of his career.
And working with amazing directors. I mean, Clint Eastwood going to Steven Spielberg,
To Noah Baumbach to the
the Coen
Coens.
brothers,
And then after that, didn't he work with Spike Lee? He was in
Black
uh
Klansman,
Black Klansman. When was that? What year was that?
2018.
18.
So that was
Okay.
later.
And then he worked for Scorsese in Silence 2016, 2015,
He
2016.
did. I haven't seen Silence yet.
Oh, that's a great movie.
I
I think you
really
would really like it a lot.
I have to watch that.
Yeah, he's worked with tons of great directors.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, what are sort of your final thoughts on Inside Llewyn Davis?
Well, it's one of my favorite movies. The soundtrack is amazing. Oscar Isaac, amazing voice. And I just like just the whole metaphor for depression and the cycle of trying to get out and sort of finding comfort in that sadness.
Hmm
That's something I really like, and it's probably my favorite Coen Brother movie.
Interesting, because I was just going to ask, where would you place it in the list, like in between what movies?
I think we talked about it last time
Yeah,
when we found out which movie, and I think it have to be Inside Llewyn Davis. I think you said Fargo, right?
yeah, for sure.
Mhm. It's between Inside Llewyn Davis and True Grit for me.
True Grit is great. Great
Yeah,
movie. Great
but it's
movie.
one of their best movie and very dark movie. It's sort of like it has comedy aspects. It's definitely like the comedy of suffering.
Hmm
But yeah, what about you? What were some of your favorite movies? Final, well, favorite scenes and final
Yeah.
thoughts about this movie.
Yeah. I mean, I really do like this movie a lot. It seems like so different from like the rest of the Coen brothers filmography. Maybe not so much from like their later stuff, but they this is just a really awesome movie, and a movie that I think a lot of people can relate to. I think anyone who's trying to pursue something in their own right that is untraditional, whether you be a musician or a painter, filmmaker, whatever it is that you want to do that may be different, or isn't as structured. Like I think everyone can relate to that, and it's a very relatable movie, of just kind of being beaten down by this thing, but kind of still having that passion for whatever it is that keeps you afloat, where it's like, no matter what, this is what I will do, regardless of how much money I may or may not have, regardless of the relationships, regardless of whatever may be going on. There really is no quit, even though, like in that movie, he does consider it for a split
Mhm.
second. But I do love that kind of love for him, love for music just carries him throughout. And um, it's a very real movie too, where it's like, hey, you can have all this talent in the world and still things just might not work out for you. Like it's kind of in the face of that American dream sort of idea. Um, but I do love this movie, and I love New York City, and my favorite part of New York City is the West Village. So I love seeing that portrayed on film, and um, especially like during this period of like the '60s, I think is super
Mhm.
cool.
Very cool.
Um,
Do
but
you
yeah,
think that Llewyn is a likable character? Do you find him to be likable, or
honestly, not really.
okay?
I think he has some redeeming qualities, but I think that for the most part, it's pretty overshadowed by all of his bad qualities. I think
Mhm.
I think he I'm not saying he's necessarily all in all is a bad person, like he has no redeemable qualities, but I wouldn't say he's very likable, for me personally, at least. What
Mhm.
about you?
Well, I think there's parts of him that are very outgoing and could be friendly. I think he just has a very shitty week or maybe a month. He's been going through a lot, but I think that there is some redeeming qualities about him. But he goes about life in a very bad way. I think he has this frustration in him that he puts it out on other people
Hmm.
and sort of is an asshole to them because of that. So that's definitely right. But that comes to the question, like from a scale from 1 to 10, orange tabby cats, how much is Llewyn Davis literally you?
Honestly, and I even said he's not very likable, but I'd go so far as to say maybe six cats, because
Mm-hmm.
there is a lot that I can relate to with him. Um, like I mentioned just a couple minutes ago, all those things, like I can very much relate to all of that. Um, and sometimes I can be an asshole as well. So I definitely feel that, but maybe not quite to the extent of Lewin. But I can very much sort of relate to him in a lot of ways, not every way, but in a lot of ways I can. What about you?
Well, it'd probably be around 5 or 6 for me as well. I like
Hmm.
the aspect of like the tortured artist and him trying to pursue his dream and getting beat up by life, but still trying to find a way to get to his goal.
Hmm.
But he is a big asshole.
Yeah.
He treats people not very nicely. So I can't give him more than that. So I'd probably say like 5.
Yeah,
Um, but I can be more on a bad day. I think we all can.
for sure.
That's what's so great about him. And yeah, probably like 5, maybe 5.5.
Yeah, same. I'll knock mine down. I'll round down to a 5.5 as well. Um, well, I was in desperate need of a rewatch of this movie. So I'm super glad that we finally got to do that. So thank you very much for throwing that one on your list, and letting us
Welcome.
get to it. Um, but I guess that means we've come to that time of the pod where we'll go ahead and pick next week's movie. Which, folks, if you guys are new or you just don't listen this far, or maybe you're just, a dummy. We at the end of each episode, we've each contributed a list of 20 movies that are randomly selected that we really like. And we randomly select one each week. Last week, we picked from Dino's list. It landed on Llewyn Davis. And this week, I'll be spinning the random number generator, and Dino's going to go ahead and tell me what movie from my list we'll go ahead and watch for next episode. And Dino, make sure you refresh that if you haven't, because I worked on that a little bit before the pod. So let me go ahead and pull up that random number generator. Again, a lot of N's here, so give me a second. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, let's see what we got. What's number 6 on the list?
Number 6. Oh, okay. It's Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia.
Oh,
Perfect.
Shit. Let's go. Perfect. Okay. That is, have you seen that movie before?
I have not, but I remember it being your fantasy football team name. Bring Me the Head of Mahomes.
Patrick Mahomes, I think. Yes.
And then I looked it up, like, what's this like referencing to? And I saw this movie and I wanted to watch it, but I'm glad I didn't just yet, because we're going to watch it and talk about it next week.
Yes, very excited. This is an all-time favorite of mine. For anyone who's interested in watching Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, it's for sure available just to rent on Amazon or iTunes, whatever it is that you use. But let me see here if it's on any streaming. Oh, actually, it's looking a little slim in terms of streaming. I cannot lie.
Same here.
Yeah, Germany, I don't see anything. We'll go ahead and we'll figure that one out. Should we roll again in case, or should we just go with the flow, figure it out, and figure out something off the pod if we can't find it?
It's on YouTube for me, so.
Oh, it is? All right, then let's ride. That's all that matters. Fuck all you guys.
I want to watch it.
Dino. Yeah. Okay, Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia. You should be able to find it on YouTube. If not, allegedly, you didn't hear it from me. Maybe you can go on some type of streaming service that may or may not be illegal, allegedly, and go find it on there, allegedly. But I'm super excited. Glad we got to talk inside Llewyn Davis. And yeah, if you guys are liking the pod, keep liking, keep subscribing, and yeah, any final sign off, Dino?
For sure. I'm very excited for this next week's movie, and thank you all for listening. I hope this was a good episode, and I'm very excited for the next one. Very, very excited.
Likewise. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye-bye.